Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 17 and compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro Max and see which particular iPhone is the better one for you. Now, in almost every single way I can imagine, a phone like an iPhone 11 Pro Max, it's a great iPhone in a lot of different ways. I just don't know if that is a phone I'd recommend really anybody to go and buy anymore. If you're still using it, then that's great. But there are a lot better types of devices out there to go and buy rather than, this one, if I'm being honest. So kind of keep that in mind. I think the iPhone 17 is a very good option. I really like the iPhone 17. And if I'm in the market and I'm going to go through and pick up a device, then definitely something like an iPhone 17 is one of the best types of phones you can basically buy. So we'll take a look at all these devices, kind of see which one is the better one for you, and if you should go and upgrade. If you want to go through and pick up either one of these particular devices though, links will be down in the description below. You can get that from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular iPhones. The iPhone 11 Pro Max originally came out back in 2019, so this is a little bit of an older type of device, as you can imagine, but back in 2019, this thing was very solid. So the iPhone 17 is basically going to be able to go through and give you this 6.5-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. Now, the panel itself is not bad. It was a good panel when it first came out, but nowadays it really is not that good of an option. And if you're trying to go through and pick up some sort of a device, there might be some better options out there rather than this one, so kind of keep that in mind. But the iPhone 11 Pro Max, the biggest problem is it's not that bright of a panel, but also it's 60 Hz and it's not a 120 Hz panel. Thicker bezels on it, you have the notch up top, which might be a little bit bigger. Those are some issues that you might run into within a device like this. Whereas with something like an iPhone, 17, this is without a doubt one of the best phones you can buy right now. This phone is going to be able to give you a, smaller 6.3-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So that type of panel is slightly smaller, not that big of a deal though. You are going to be able to get a ProMotion display, so 120 Hz. It's an always-on display. It's a dynamic island, and it's still going to be able to give you this really good type of capability with its, small bezel. It's a 3000 nits of peak brightness. Like, that's a very good type of panel. And if I'm about to go through and pick up a phone, that one is going to be a very solid option. So for me personally, once again, if I'm looking at both these phones, a phone like the iPhone 17 is probably going to end up giving me a better type of experience over something like an 11 Pro Max. The 17 is also giving you the camera button and action button. It's also going to be able to give you that USB Type-C port at the bottom, with the iPhone 11 Pro Max basically gives you a lightning port, which is a little bit outdated. On the backside, frosted glass backs on both. The iPhone 17 does give you that MagSafe charger on the back, so it does allow you to kind of throw in that, MagSafe charger, which is a really nice thing to have inside of your device as well. The iPhone 11 Pro Max doesn't really give you that kind of stuff. So if you're looking at the outside, I definitely do think, both these devices do give you a good type of experience. But if you're trying to go through and get the better one, something like an iPhone 17, there's really no competition. That one is going to be a significantly better device here in almost every single way. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there too. Now, when it comes down to their, price tags, the big advantage for the 11 Pro Max is that it's older and it's going to be cheaper. So those are some advantages there because you're not really going to be spending an insane amount of revenue or money inside of the 11 Pro Max. I don't know why I said revenue. You're not going to be spending that much money for the 11 Pro Max. That is one of the advantages for that phone over something like an iPhone 17. So kind of keep that in mind as well. Now, on top of that, another important thing to keep in mind here too are the cameras. So the cameras on these phones are kind of crazy. The iPhone 11 Pro Max is going to be giving you this triple camera setup. However, when you look at the zooming in and zooming out, you're getting 0.5x zoom on the 11 Pro Max, and I just hiccuped, and 2x zoom all the way in. The iPhone 17 is going to be giving you the exact same zooming in and zooming out. So that right there is going to be a pretty, interesting thing because you don't even get a telephoto lens on the iPhone 17, but you're going to be able to maintain it, the same exact zooming and zooming out on both phones, which is actually pretty crazy. Now, you're also going to be able to get center stage capability on the iPhone 17. You're going to be able to get dual capture mode, which is really awesome, a much better front-facing camera. You're also going to be able to get super high-resolution photos. You're going to be able to get a very solid type of sensor and a much better type of experience on something like an iPhone 17 over something like an iPhone 11 Pro Max. So once again, if I'm going through and picking up a phone, I definitely do like something and having a phone like an iPhone 17 because it is going to be holding up very, very well from that standpoint. So from that perspective too, kind of keep that in mind. That's just one of those other things to keep in mind there as well. Now, on top of that, another important thing to keep in mind here too is basically software longevity. How long are these phones going to be lasting? So once again, if I'm going through and I'm picking up a phone, definitely something like an iPhone 11 Pro Max, this phone isn't really going to be lasting that long, right? Like if I'm picking up a device, definitely something like an iPhone 17, it's not really the one that I'd recommend. That's the one that's going to be lasting way longer than something like an iPhone 11 Pro Max. So that right there is going to be one of those things. The iPhone 11 Pro Max is still supported with software, but how much longer is it going to be supported with software, right? That's kind of the big thing. I'm not really too sure how much longer that phone's going to last, right? It may last another 2 years. It may last another 1 year, but the chances are it's probably not going to be lasting that much longer. So you might want to just prepare yourself for the most part. Even from Apple's own website, they state that the iPhone 11 Pro Max is basically going to last you about 20 hours of video playback, which I think is being generous. The iPhone 17 is giving you 30 hours of video playback. So that right there is also going to be another big thing. If you're trying to get the phone that's going to last you a little bit better, then definitely something like an iPhone 17 is going to be the one that might give you a better type of experience from that particular side as well. And finally, when it comes down to the performance, the iPhone 17 is going to be giving you that Apple A19 chipset inside with 8GB of RAM. The iPhone 11 Pro Max is going to be giving you that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 4GB of RAM. So that right there is also going to be another very big difference. Because if you're trying to go through and you're trying to get the phone that's going to be giving you a better experience, well, chances are the iPhone 17, that is going to be one of those types of devices that's probably going to hold up better from a performance standpoint than the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I think the 11 Pro Max still is decent and it still is going to be giving you a good type of experience from that particular side, which I think is really nice. But like I said, if you are actually trying to go through and get a phone that is going to be giving you a better type of experience from the other side, then definitely something like an iPhone 17, I think, is probably going to be the better one from a performance standpoint. So all in all, the big thing I can tell you is that if you can go ahead and kind of visualize a device in your head, the iPhone 17 is one of the best phones you can buy. That's the one that is probably the best one that you can get your hands on. And that is the one I'd recommend a vast majority of people to go through and kind of consider, because that's the one that is going to be probably the better one for the average person. With something like the iPhone, 11 Pro Max, I just don't think this phone makes any sense to buy anymore. However, a big thing to keep in mind is that with something like the iPhone 11 Pro Max, there's a lot of phones in between these two phones. You can go buy and buy something like an iPhone 13 Pro Max. You can go and buy something like an iPhone 14 Pro Max or 15 Pro Max, save some money and still get a really good device from that standpoint as well. Those are kind of the big, highlights to kind of, when you're comparing these two phones. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.